writings of a Scottish professor. And as he was a Scot, I naturally paid special attention to what he said. Devastations and confusion produced by 2 world wars within a single generation. The old self-regulating system for trade and industry no longer is sufficient in itself. All sorts of barriers, protective devices, and special trading organizations have grown up. Now, the capitalist system has some faults, but many merits. But if we want to understand it, we must remember that it is something like a game we play sometimes amongst ourselves. And if one player gets all the chips, then the game comes to an end. In other words, even from a selfish point of view, creditor nations cannot afford to immobilize money. The countries of Western Europe, and I'm glad they are, to a constantly rising standard of living. So-called undeveloped countries therefore require 2 things. First, the development of their own resources. And secondly, and equally important, a high and stable demand at reasonable prices for their primary products. Now, if we disappoint our peoples and those of the uncommitted countries, they will lose faith in the ability of our system and of our way of life to meet what they believe to be the just demands of mankind. Therefore, if the free world is to survive and prosper, it must be more and more a world that works together. And our economic organizations, as well as our military, must be complementary. I would therefore like to see the economic and financial institutions of the free world in Europe, in the Commonwealth, and the Americas more closely related to each other. I should like to see them working out together the way in which the energies and resources of their members can best be employed to the mutual benefit of the free world. And only in this way shall we prevent our military defense being outflanked on the economic front. In all this, I can perhaps draw a moral to an episode in the history of Johns Hopkins. When he was only 19, so I have read, his Quaker uncle left him in charge of his store in Baltimore for several months. And all he had to work on was a fistful of blank checks and the stern injunction, buy goods and do the best thee can. He translated in this injunction into practice and so built up the vast fortune with which he so generously endowed this university. Buy goods and do the best thee can. That seems to be no bad motto for the free world today. Certainly it is not bad advice for us, because it is at least a positive attitude to life. A lot of people today seem to be obsessed by external dangers and pressures. Their attitude is defensive. But I've always understood that a runner who looked over his shoulder to see if he was being followed too closely was not likely to win the race. I would therefore venture very humbly to say this: let us concentrate on improving our way of life, and spiritually as well as materially. So to have faith that what we are doing is right is in the long run the only way to win and to deserve the allegiance of the peoples of the world.